Hi all, welcome to the show. My name is Marisa Mcknight. I am the co-founder CEO of Joba Network. You can follow us on Twitter at Joba Network, and myself is at Marisa Mcknight. That would be the fastest way to reach me.
That's great. Excited to have you here. Let's get to it. What was the driving force behind founding Joba Network, and what specific gap or need in the market does it aim to address?
Yeah, so there's a few things I think that we're trying to fill the gap or the initial driving force. The first driving force was myself. After working at Liquid, I became a freelancer contractor, starting out my own entity, working across different projects, and I was an anonymous person on the internet. And as I was an anonymous person on the internet, I started realizing it was really hard to find other anons to work with and find out what their skills were. I started working with people in emerging markets, and I also realized they struggle to actually get jobs that actually pay them on time. There was a lot of distrust in the market, so I wanted to create a safe and secure marketplace for everyone to kind of like work together and build these decentralized businesses. Yeah. And I think the specific gap that we're trying to solve here is, one, it's like helping emerging market talent come to the top in terms of their reputation and build their credibility. And secondly, looking particularly at Americans or people in already developed countries who are becoming self-employed freelance contractors to become the infrastructure provider for their verified experience. Because usually if you're working for a company, it comes with all these benefits. But once you start to be on your own, you pay all these premiums for all these services, whether it's health insurance, whether it's trying to, get a loan at a bank. So instead of, referencing your W-2 income, maybe eventually you could reference your verified Joba profile and access different services. Yeah.
Can you elaborate on how Joba Network serves as a future of work platform, leveraging blockchain and AI to revolutionize hiring and payment processes?
Yeah. So the way that we see ourselves as this future of work platform is by using the best of blockchain, which is privacy and credentials. So we basically are building a way for people to almost build a Linktree profile, which has, right now lots of links. But instead, you build a profile with all verifications, and you're able to, prove that you did something. And that's what I mean by this future of work platform, because we're building these new style of resumes. And the way that we see the future is instead of, being you applying for things, you'll be suggested jobs that you could do and tasks that you're particularly useful for based on your credentials. So we want to use AI for matching of talents, maybe also matching people to people that you might want to connect with. So that's some of the ways that we plan to utilize AI. And particularly when it comes to having bots, and we also want to be able to differentiate bots versus humans using the on-chain reputation. Yeah, and we help people with stablecoin payments as another part of using crypto. Yep.
How does Joba Network facilitate payments using cryptocurrency, and what benefits does this offer for both employers and talents?
Yeah. So we help people to create on-chain invoices using USDT as a payment method for people to earn their crypto. This is particularly important for emerging markets who their currencies might be failing. So really they want to earn dollar-based stablecoins to be able to have economic freedom. So this is really the main purpose. And I think for employers, it really helps them to have a faster distribution and less fees involved in the process of remitting funds overseas when they're outsourcing. Yeah.
You touched on this briefly, but how does Joba Network leverage AI and blockchain technologies to address tomorrow's business challenges and provide specialized skills to its users?
Particularly I think some of tomorrow's business challenges are about trust. And what we're trying to build here is really the trust layer for all parties involved in the business process. So whether it's, trying to grow into a new market and find someone who actually worked on a deal that you're interested in, or whether it's finding somebody with that experience and they're actually working there, or trying to basically create a secure platform that you can verify information and also find the best skilled talent for these businesses.
Looking ahead, what is your vision for Joba Network in the next 5 to 10 years? And how do you see it impacting the future of work globally?
Yeah. Particularly in the next 5 to 10 years, we don't see ourselves just as a job marketplace platform. That's just one of our apps. We see ourselves as being a verification service or a way to have any type of application reference our identity, and also for that Joba identity to be something that can be replace a passport. Just like how you're born with a passport and you can access, certain things, we believe that proof of experience, what communities you're involved in, what you actually do online matters, and we want that identity to be the way that you can, enter into the real world. So we see ourselves plugging into everything. It could be from dating apps, checking whether somebody's married, and having a Joba reference to check that identity, see if they're actually married or not for a dating app. Or it could also be something like the, jobs. It could be something like being assessed for a housing loan. Say that you want to move to Japan and get a nomad visa. We see ourselves plugging into tons of use cases using your identity. And in terms of impacting the future of work, we see it as being a way that, as AI start to develop more, building these AI agents, we also see ourselves as a way for you to find the reputation of those AI agents and working together. And we also see it as being able to have more work come to you and earn more income based on your identity, because there might be particular brands or there might be particular companies that are particularly interested in a very niche group or niche type of identity, and these types of opportunities could easily emerge right in front of your eyes. So that's kind of how we see the future looking for Joba.
That sounds great. The next set of questions I'm going to ask are a little bit more general, but feel free to tie them back to Joba as you see fit. Can you share your perspective on the most significant developments in the blockchain space over the past year?
Yeah, over the past year in particular, is a very good question. I think some of the account abstraction stuff is super interesting because people can now use like Web 2 login, right? They can use like Google, they can use Facebook login to be able to create a wallet on the back end and not have to sign transactions using MetaMask. I think that user experience element has definitely, rapidly accelerated the past year. You have solutions like Privy Dynamic, which are bringing on just normal people to interact with blockchains but not even know that they're doing it. So that's definitely the significant development that I've seen over the past year that I think is particularly important for us to onboard more people into the blockchain.
I couldn't agree more in terms of what it's going to take to get adoption. It's got to be easy.
Yeah, agreed.
Just operating in the background without anyone noticing. How do you see the role of traditional finance institutions evolving with the rise of decentralized finance and blockchain technologies?
Yeah, so the role of traditional finance has been particularly interested in managing assets on behalf of the people. And what we've been seeing now more and more is that people want to manage their own assets. So I think that's only going to grow. And these TradFi institutions are going to have to learn how to create new types of products for retail and for them to be able to have recommendations, build a portfolio. And this is really going to be the only way. And I think, the ways that we invest in the crypto space is really at the forefront because it's really a lot of social trading. And I think that's going to continue to grow. And you're going to have to be able to educate investors and educate people on how to value companies. It's going to become a skill set that everybody knows, is to kind of assess like fundamentals so that we don't have these really volatile events that happened during COVID, like the Wall Street bets with GameStop. So I think we're going to need a lot more education coming from TradFi, and then TradFi is also going to have to, start to create more retail heavy departments because people are moving toward becoming self-employed, managing their own assets, rather than just, working for a company all their life and giving their money and their retirement savings to an institution who manages it for them. Yeah.
What do you see as the biggest challenge facing adoption of blockchain technology, and how can the industry overcome that?
I think we see a lot of really niche use cases. That is like one of the biggest challenges is that a lot of these use cases really target very small pool of individuals that might be interested in it. So I think this is, one of the challenges. And I think that we need to think of more fun ways, beyond DeFi, working with real brands, real companies to be able to implement blockchain to the masses.
How do you envision the future of Web3, and what impact do you think it will have on the internet as we know it?
Yeah. Definitely the future of Web3, people aren't going to call it Web3, right? I think it'll just be the new internet that's, user owned. I think we'll be in a world where, everyone is just like earning lots of airdrops based on who they are, without even have to really make much effort. I think there's going to be more, distribution this way. I think we'll have a lot more smaller communities emerging rather than these big, masses like Facebook or Instagram where you just have millions of followers. I think we're going to, niche into a more like private, like smaller social media, smaller communities. I see that trend coming. So that's kind of where I see the future going is, user-owned networks that are a bit niche and, target focused rather than these big, mammoths that exist today.
What advice would you give to new entrepreneurs entering the blockchain and crypto space today?
I would say, before you even jump into blockchain and crypto as an entrepreneur, I would say, obviously, read the Bitcoin white paper, read the Ethereum white paper, and I would say at least start with an internship, start with at least working in the industry for at least a couple of years before branching off and starting your own. Since we see a lot of, non-crypto native people just tapping in blockchain and crypto, because I think once you have a little bit of experience, you'll have a lot more better view of how to best utilize the technology. So I would suggest, starting out, working for somebody besides just jumping on to becoming a crypto entrepreneur. Yeah.
That was great. Is there anything that I didn't ask you would like me to, or anything you want to share?
Yeah, I think if anyone listening super interested in actual real use cases on chain, definitely should, consider identity as the next space. Because I always tell people, when you're going out to the club, you take your wallet with your money and your ID, right? So right now, cryptocurrency is just have it in your wallet. So next phase is ID for it to go to everyone. And, Joba will hopefully be the perfect place for you to kind of manage your identity with aggregating these credentials. So hope you can make a profile and try it out. That would be my suggestion for you guys to be part of the next big wave.